Hi, thanks for joining us. On today's broadcast, we'll be discussing the NGVMS new project and the status of our survey and all of the interviews that they've done with everyone. We'll be discussing case management, EIV, reconciliation of security deposits and utilities, as well as answering a couple of questions that we've gotten about FAQs and maybe possibly clearing up a couple of misconceptions here and there that we've received through the mailbox. We thank you for joining us, and with us today we have Teresa Palladino.
Good morning.
Nicholas Hickman.
Good morning.
And Nicholas Bilka.
Good morning.
I will turn it over to Teresa Palladino to discuss case management and EIV.
Okay, again, good morning, and thank you for joining us today. We have just a few updates regarding case management. To begin with, there were some system errors about a week ago. During the week of April 11th, the ETO experienced some technical difficulties. However, as of April 13th, those errors should have been corrected. If your agency continues to have problems associated with the system errors, please feel free to reach out to your InfoPath representative. They should be able to assist you right away. There are also some new features with ETO and case management. Users with the role of site manager will now receive copies of closed cases emails that are routinely sent to case managers after each DIS file transfer. Also, the custom report produced for the DHAP-EIV needs assessment has been modified to run for each separate assessment completed for a DHAP participant. The report will show the most recent needs associated with the most recent assessment and the referrals made for those needs from the date of the assessment through to the date of the next assessment. Efforts to outcome. As you all already know, I'm sure, efforts to outcome and efforts document ETO should give the reader a good understanding of what is happening with the participant. Please be very clear and concise with the detailed notes entered into ETO. Please do not utilize track contact attempts to document efforts in ETO. The case management tracking system also allows case managers to enter a final housing status for closed cases under the record efforts toggle bar of the software. If you have not already done so, please enter this information on your EOP'd clients. Undocumented efforts not currently in ETO should be entered for all EOP'd clients as soon as possible. When conducting site visits, it has been noted that efforts and assessments have been input into the system months after the contact occurred. Although there is data to support contact happen, please take care to log all necessary data into the system in a timely manner. As always, if the information is not in ETO, it did not happen. Please note that if any domestic violence issues are present in your agency's caseload, any inputs related to this issue should not be reported as efforts in ETO. ETO is a system that falls under the Violence Against Women Act. Any information related to domestic violence matters cannot be logged into the system. These notes can be documented in the hard copy file of the participant. But again, please do not enter anything related to domestic violence in ETO. Social service referrals. Social service referrals must be made by case managers relative to the individual development plan for each individual. Referrals should be specific to participant needs based on the information gathered from the needs assessment and the IDP. Social service referrals, enrollments, and resident outcome must be documented in case management tracking system. Documentation should be recorded under Record Referrals for IDP Crisis and Secondary Goals. Referrals and reassignments. Referrals should provide the participant with service provider contact information, including a contact name. The referral source should be clearly described in ETO. Participants should be encouraged to contact service providers independently. Agencies will be monitored against the service referrals entered into the system. Referral follow-up is required by all case managers to ensure service delivery. Follow-up should occur every 30 days with clients and service providers. Case managers are required to update referrals in the case management tracking system under View and Update Progress on Referrals. Upon completion of the referral, please log a final outcome. Reassessments must be updated every quarter for the duration of the program. Participants must be reassessed more frequently if deemed necessary. It is recommended that individual need assessments be established for all family members ages 18 and older. HUD minimum reassessment requires should be completed for the following areas. 1, updated income information. 2, updated employment information. And 3, updated employment readiness information. When completing reassessments, it is a good idea to review the release of information form in the hard file of the EIV participant. It is suggested that the ROI be updated on a regular basis. Further, make sure that all required forms are correct and completed and entirely, i.e., the forms are signed, dated, etc. Deficiency reports. Upon receipt of a deficiency report, please develop a brief action plan to correct current case management program deficiencies. The deficiency corrective action plans are due to the InfoPath TA provider within 10 days of receipt of the case management monitoring report. The action plan should exclude an accepted completion date of when the agency, let me go back on that one. The action plan should include an accepted completion date of when the agency will have all deficiencies updated and entered into the system. Please send action plans to the InfoPath TA assigned to your PHA. Contact information for technical assistance resources and support for case management and software questions are as follows. And as you can see on the screen, it's Ms. Vanessa Patterson and for Louisiana, and Natasha Emery for the state of Texas. And as you can see, their contact information is online and on this report. Downloading archival data for DHAP-EIV. DHAP-EIV administration users have the capability to download and archive data from the tracking tool. DHAP-EIV users with access to the administration program of their PHA can click on the link on the administration program homepage. Instructions to download archival data is a link that you want to click on. This document will explain the steps to download the data further. And then closeout. With the end of the program nearing, focus should be placed on closeout of the program, as ETO will not be available once the program is over. Make sure that all efforts, referrals, assessments, and reassessments are input into the system. Again, if this information is not input into the system in a timely manner, you will be unable to go back and do so. And lastly, how can I learn more about DHAP-EIV? It's imperative that PHAs who are implementing the DHAP-EIV program are consistently looking at the DHAP-EIV website. HUD routinely updates our website with information such as Judith mentioned earlier, our FAQs, again, as Judith mentioned earlier, our program status report. These documents, the program status report is updated weekly. Our FAQs are routinely modified by HUD headquarters and are updated on a quarterly basis, usually. So again, please refer to the HUD website for that information. As another friendly reminder, the department is no longer operating with a referral call center. However, if you or your families have questions or concerns related to the DHAP-EIV program, please do not hesitate to reach out to HUD at our toll-free number, which is 1-877-483-2251. Again, that number is 1-877-483-2251. And as always, please feel free to email us at dhap-ike@hud.gov. Thank you. Judith?
Thanks, Teresa. Something really important to note is, as Teresa mentioned, we have our website and we have our guidance listed on the DHAP-EIV website. But recently, we've been alerted by our QAD team that if you Google DHAP-EIV guidance, you will be able to find archived, cached, and draft pieces of FAQs and of policy. And while it's out there and you can find it, it's not always correct. I think we've heard questions of conflicting guidance. We've had issues with PHA-specific FAQs being posted on there, and it's something that has caused a little bit of confusion. We've not only heard this from our QAD team, but also from the IG and a couple of other auditors who are looking at our program who want to know where our most consistent guidance is. So should you have any questions, please contact us, or always refer to the DHAP-EIV website instead of typing in Google and working with whatever documents pop up. They are not always consistent, they're not always final drafts, and they're not always anything other than specific to maybe a PHA or a certain time frame. So they don't always give the most accurate information. And again, with our FAQs, we build them directly around the questions that you all send us. So always refer to the website, please, for the FAQs there. That's the consistent information we give out to everyone, and we take it directly from you and look into that. So we want to make sure that we're all operating under the same guidance. And I'm glad you bring that up because it brings up a question. Our recent FAQs were updated March 16th. That's the most recent date that we have on there. And question number 64 states, or FAQ number 64 states, if a family under a DRSC is under a DSC but no longer needs HAP and as such voluntarily leaves the program, can they return to receive rental assistance at a later date? Now this has actually come up quite a bit because we've noticed in DIS and through reconciliation, which Nick Bilka and Nick Hickman will discuss with you, we've noticed that there are families who are coming back onto the program 30 days, 60 days, 120 days, 6 months after the fact. And not only is this not appropriate because it's stated here clearly that this is not something that we can do, but it also raises a lot of red flags with FEMA, who asks us, why is this family who was worked off the program for whatever reason, whether it's that they maxed out or whether they decided that they would move on or what have you, why are they coming back? The answer to FAQ number 64 about this is no. If a family voluntarily chooses to end their participation because they have reached self-sufficiency, they cannot, at a later date, return to the program due to a subsequent change in income, loss of a household member, eviction, etc. The PHA should terminate the family in DIS using the EOP code, refuse disaster assistance. And that's something that I know we've brought up once before because that's not correct. That's not the correct EOP code. That would be found permanent housing. But the general guidance on this is they cannot come back onto the program because their need is no longer disaster-based. And that's the question that FEMA will ask us and has asked us in the past. If this person has come back 6 months later, where is the Hurricane Ike, Hurricane Gustav disaster-based need coming from? It also goes on to state, it is also imperative that the PHA include a note in the comments section of DIS that denotes that the family voluntarily ended their participation due to self-sufficiency. That note is very important because it, again, goes to show that this family has reached self-sufficiency and as such should not be on our program again. This brings me into the topic of reconciliation. As Nick and Nick will discuss with you, we're working on reconciliation because, as you all know, our program is only going through September, the end of September. And as such, we need to take now as an opportunity to start putting together the reconciliation for our program. Hurricane season starts June 1st, and it runs through the end of November. And we need to make sure that we have DHAP-EIV in a pretty good position to be able to close out should there be another incident or another engagement of DHAP-EIV throughout hurricane season. And with that, I will definitely refer you back to the FAQs that start around 55 and go through, no, I'm sorry, they start on 54 and go through 59. They are all FAQs that have specifically questions regarding deposits, utility reimbursement. Can they be paid to an individual? Can they be paid to a family? How do we reconcile them? That's question number 58. Will HUD be reconciling all DHAP funds? Does this include HAP administration fees, case management fees, and security deposit plus utility deposit or placement fees? The answer is yes, each pot of funding will be reconciled separately. And you can definitely read that FAQ, but to illustrate it best and to better explain it, I will go ahead and turn it over to Nicholas Bilka, who can explain all of that to you. And again, he'll be backed with technical support by Nicholas Hickman, who can speak to you about the DIS aspect of it.
Thank you. Good morning. HUD has been sending PHAs detailed information on reconciliations for security deposits, utility deposits, and placement fees. Through this information, PHAs are able to see if the payments they received under these categories of funding were accurate or if they were over or under the PHA's actual need. Please ensure that you thoroughly review the data we sent you on these reconciliations and all future reconciliations that occur at the end of the program, such as HAP, admin fees, and case management. Only remit funds to HUD that you're in agreement with the amount owed. HUD deobligates the funds once they have been remitted. If the funds are remitted and a PHA comes back later stating they don't agree with the amount remitted, it can take a significant amount of time to get those funds back to you. We don't want to put PHAs in a situation where they're waiting for needed funds, so please contact us in cases where you don't agree with the reconciled amount. Secondly, all VMS entries need to be reported on an accrual basis. PHAs need to report HAP in the month the assistance was provided for. For instance, if a check covers the rent for April and May, you need to report leasing for both April and May, and the HAP amount needs to be broken out by the month the assistance was provided for. PHAs need to start the process of updating their DIS reporting since the start of the program through the present time in compliance with policy. As the program is starting to wind down, this means full program reconciliations are right around the corner. All these entries must be accurate in time for the final reconciliation. For some PHAs, waiting to update reporting until the last minute in the last month of the program could cause several issues. First, the volume of data to update. PHAs need to ensure that they'll have enough time to accurately update all these entries for DHAP-EIV. Secondly, these updates could impact overall program needs by causing PHAs to either owe HUD money or for HUD to owe PHAs money. Should PHAs owe HUD money, they'll have to pay HUD back in full at the end of the program. The sooner PHAs clean up DIS, the better off they'll be in terms of being able to pay us back or know whether they need funds. It's good to know or at least have a concept of what is owed to ensure that the money isn't accidentally spent on other programs. Also, the sooner DIS is corrected, the sooner your monthly funding will properly line up with actual need. Conversely, if HUD owes PHA additional funds, the sooner PHAs clean up DIS, the sooner we'll be able to get those funds back to the PHAs. One DIS-related entry field we have noticed issues with was the IRT exception. An IRT exception date cannot be entered 30 or more days after a family has reached zero subsidy. We've seen cases where sometimes the termination date was several months after the family had reached zero subsidy and they came back on with an IRT exception. This is not permitted. Once a family reaches self-sufficiency, they're not permitted to come back into the program. Finally, in the past, HUD built a buffer into our calculation for monthly need that we're no longer using. The buffer was created as a result of the numerous extensions and all the work involved with keeping up with DIS reporting through everything that was going on at the program at the time. It allowed PHAs additional time to update their DIS records. Since the program is winding down and PHAs are more familiar with the system, the buffer is no longer necessary and will no longer be included within our monthly funding calculation, which makes updating DIS entries that much more important. Thank you, and I'll send it back to Judith now.
Great, thank you. While we wait for questions to come in, because I hope that this generates a little bit of discussion, I'd like to talk to Nick Hickman a little bit about some examples of this. I know that Nick Bilka touched a little bit on families coming back in, which was exactly the FAQ I read before, and how that throws us off and throws our count off. Could you give us kind of an example of what the buffer does and how it affects us at the 6-month mark and what it does to our figures of the HAP?
Sure.
Could you illustrate that?
Sure. As far as the buffer goes, what we'll see is that the buffer, as Nick Bilka mentioned, allows a little bit more room for the housing authorities to update their DIS records. HUD understands that it does take some time and resources to go through the records to ensure that the lease records within DIS are up to date and consistent with the new termination date of the program extension. So to allow for that time, HUD was giving that buffer to give time for the PHAs to update DIS, and also to make sure that funding was still flowing out for the families that the housing authorities were assisting at the time. However, what was happening, or what's happening now, is that now that the buffer will not be instituted in assessing the needs for future months for the PHAs, the HUD will be looking at the exact date of the termination date on the DIS record to determine when the HAP needs to be assessed through. So if that buffer was, as an example, showing a couple months in advance that the family would be on HAP or receiving HAP from the PHA, and now that the buffer is not there, the PHA will not see that additional money come through unless they are actually in need, which in case you need to update the termination date in DIS. So it's very important and vital that every housing authority goes through their records and ensures that the termination dates are updated correctly, the lease effective dates are updated correctly, the correct FMR is in place, the correct HAP total that you see on the DIS record is consistent with the HAP contract on file. As an example, just to not necessarily sidetrack, but we have seen some cases where the HAP total on the DIS record is blank. Not for any intended purpose on the user side, the housing authority side, but just because that field is an automated field. As we all know, you can't enter a value in that field. It's a calculated field that looks at the FMR field, the payment standard field, the lease rent field. And so it's important that you tab through, using your tab key on your keyboard to tab through each field, and that will allow the system to calculate the correct HAP total, and you want to ensure that HAP total matches up to the hard file documentation for the HAP contract. So in that case, it's even more important that your DIS records are up to date and clearly represent the HAP contract signed between the housing authority and families.
So that I can understand this, the buffer pushed out money to make sure that at the beginning of the disaster it was front-loaded that way so that there'd be enough money to continuously flow to assist the families. And so there might be surplus of funds at some PHAs because of that buffer.
Correct.
And now that we're working on reconciliation, it could very well mean that PHAs owe us money and have to give money back.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it may, and rightly so, it may just be that some of the housing authorities may have seen that, oh, I'm getting a lot of money coming in from HUD. Why are we receiving so much money? We don't need this. Just to reiterate, it just allows the flexibility of the housing authority to make sure they have enough cash on hand to assist the families. But now that this buffer is being removed, you'll see that the money will need to be returned to HUD because the housing authority never needed the money in the first place because their families fell off.
Got it. Okay, and it was front-loaded to create that efficiency to just keep going with the assistance. And as Nick Bilka mentions, a very good point that you raised is that it's really important to be aware of where this money is so that it's not accidentally used in other program areas. I know that it's something that we have seen, and it's something when we make these calls, it's a very tough conversation to have with the PHA because the money is there and there's kind of sometimes the need to move it around to use it here and there. But again, we have to go back to the fact that this is FEMA money, and this is money at the end of the day that they're accountable for as well. And as we saw with Katrina reconciliations, there were a couple of entities who were turned over to FEMA and subsequently to the Treasury for collection. So they do take reconciliation pretty seriously. We'll work with you in any way, shape, or form we can. But do know that ultimately, at the end of the day, this money does come back, and it does go back to FEMA, and they work with the Treasury, which is a pretty big deal long term. when you look at the Treasury actually working with you to ask about a payment plan or about receiving these funds. So we want to avoid that if at all possible. And again, it's something that we've already experienced with the reconciliation of DHAP Katrina. So we can tell you from our own experience, having made those calls and having worked with FEMA, it's not something we want our PHA subjected to. So anything we can do to help you along the way, whether it's reaching out to us for technical assistance or it's asking questions, please do, because we want to avoid that.
And to touch upon that, to highlight that, the importance of that is from the lessons learned with DHAP Katrina, is why we see the reconciliation happening so much earlier in the program as opposed to waiting too far close to the end of the program to allow that the time it takes to make sure that the records are up to date and giving everyone a fair chance to ensure that their records are up to date and correct.
Well, we're really thankful that you're helping us, get a jump on this right now. And also something I have to say I'm pretty thankful of is that we've got a consistent team who was with us through DHAP Katrina, and also, you guys remember Nick, he's been with us through DHAP Katrina and DHAP-EIV, and so that knowledge or that lessons learned that you bring to the table is huge because it really helps us avoid some of the same, hurdles, mistakes, what have you, that we had, some of those pitfalls. And again, hurricane season starts June 1st, and if this year's weather is any indication, we could look at a strange weather year, and we've already got our blanket IAA with FEMA in the works, so there's a possibility of another DHAP engagement. I keep saying Ike, a DHAP engagement down the road. Staying on the topic of FEMA, I've got 2 points of information that we have on good authority from them that could impact you in your respective areas in the Gulf Coast. Specific to New Orleans, DHAP Katrina temporary housing unit evictions will soon start. Recently, we as HUD, as a department, have had to submit to OMB and to the Department of Justice a paper which Teresa Palladino prepared for us, thank you, on all of the efforts our PHAs and the department has made to be able to reach out to DHAP Katrina households and families who were living in temporary housing units. And this effort was really important because FEMA is now working with the Department of Justice to evict individuals from their temporary housing units. What was really important for the department to demonstrate, and if there's anything I'm missing or you'd like to add, please definitely do. But what was really important for the department to illustrate was that the PHAs have made extensive outreach efforts to work with the families. You guys had preferences, you had your waiting lists on hold, so that you can make a preference specifically for this population. We thank you for doing everything that you have to try and work with this population because your efforts documented, they were recognized. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback about the work our PHAs have done. And so thank you for that. The sad thing is that evictions will happen, but it's important to mention it all right now because when anyone mentions DHAP or anyone mentions what goes on in the Gulf, automatically the assumption is that FEMA and HUD are working together on whatever project it is, and that is true, definitely, and we're proud of that. However, when it comes to the terminations, the evictions from these temporary housing units, it is not something that we are a part of, and if you should need any talking points, have any questions, have any concerns, please contact Teresa Palladino or myself, Judith Garza. Let either one of us know. We'll be happy to provide you and your office with any information you might need. We know once this movement starts, you'll see information in the news, you'll hear it on the radio, you'll see it locally, and we want to prepare you with any bit of information that we can to show you that to show to whoever is asking that this is not a HUD initiative and that the PHAs and HUD have provided all the assistance that they possibly could. So I just really want to put that out there because it's movement that we'll start seeing possibly as soon as next week, if not in the next couple of weeks. And we don't want our PHAs and the good work that you've done through DHAP to be impacted just because someone might misinterpret these efforts as being both FEMA and HUD. Another point that is also DHAP related, DHAP Katrina specifically, recoupment of overpayment. We've recently also found out that FEMA a couple of weeks ago gave testimony on efforts that they are initiating to potentially recuperate overpayments of funds that were paid to households and families in the Gulf Coast for Hurricane Katrina. Now, this is interesting because it consists of rental assistance, and it's FEMA rental assistance. I don't know if any of you remember the $2,000 debit cards or the expedited $2,000 rental assistance that people received who lived in the specific areas which were impacted by the disasters. This money went out automatically, and in many cases it was EFT, it was an electronic funds transfer directly to a bank account. And in emergency assistance, often to get money out to the public who's affected as quickly as possible, the money gets pushed out and the information comes later, or the verification comes later. And for a disaster that catastrophic, of course, it had to happen that way. But what's recently happened is that they're reconciling funds and realizing that in some cases there was an overpayment to households, and therefore recoupment efforts will probably be underway. Now, I don't have much more information on that other than just what I know generally here, and I will be happy to share with you all any other information. Because again, we would like to make sure that we prepare you with any talking points or any information just in the event that you receive questions. People, again, after DHAP, after KDHAP and DVP, have a way of associating both of our agencies, as they should, as working together through the disasters, but we really want to make sure that the distinction is drawn, that this does not impact DHAP, it does not mean a recoupment of DHAP funds, it does not mean that repayments or households will have to be contacted for repayment of DHAP funds. It is simply all of the assistance that was given prior to DHAP is being reviewed and verified for eligibility and overpayment, and that's what will be worked with. On that note, something pretty positive, I think I might have mentioned it last time. It comes up again when we have these two major issues which are impacting the Gulf. I really want to take the time again and thank you all for working so closely with the DHAP program on issues like overpayment. During the testimony of recoupment, there were a couple of questions on how overpayment happens and whatnot, and something that's very unique to DHAP is the vacancy payments. And as you know, our audits have happened, and we've had to explain that and why that works and how that works, and it's the temporary nature of the program. And we've had to reach out to a couple of PHAs to ask you, how do you handle fraud if and when you should find it? And for those PHAs that we reached out to, thank you so much, because the information that you've provided us not only demonstrates that you have been on top of all the issues within your PHA, but it also demonstrates that vacancy payment or not, and a couple of bumps along the road here and there, DHAP is actually a very, very efficient program. As Nick and Nick have talked to us about the money that we push out and how we verify in the system, you are only paid for what is currently active in your program. It's details like that that we're pretty proud when we talk to the IG, and I know both Nick and Nick have been with us on these discussions and explained that. And I don't know, is there anything you want to say about that? But it's pretty cool to be able to push back and say, nope, our program's got this. We've got a couple of things worked in here. You've worked on our responses before, Nick, so.
Yeah, so it's very important for us to be able to show that we're providing accurate data, and the funding that we put out is accurate, and the information we're getting from PHAs, that information is accurate. So it's very helpful to us when so much of that is correct and people are doing a good job out there, and we certainly appreciate it. Definitely.
And Nick, as our numbers person and our systems person, you can look and find trends and monitor trends, and this is when we find things that when we reach out to a PHA to say, hey, can you explain this? Can you explain that? Definitely, I want the PHAs to know we're not picking on them. It's because the program is so efficient in many ways that when something is out of the norm, it is sometimes pretty simple and easy to pick out, isn't it?
It is. It quite is. And that's why some of the housing authorities see on a weekly basis, we do a data validation that we send out to the housing authorities for the ones that have these anomalies or records that show data that are outside the norm of what you'd expect as it meets the program policies. So you can continue to see those, and those are there as a helping aid for not only to keeping your records up to date, but also it reflects the funding that should be flowing to your housing authority for the hard work and the assistance you're providing to these families. These are added aids to show and help everyone out there working on these programs that in any way we can. But you can continue to see these on a weekly basis. And as Judith mentioned, feel free to call and email as much as you have questions and you need assistance with the system and how to interpret the data you're receiving versus what you have in your hard documents and how that should be reflected in the system as well. Because it's not always a one-to-one relationship, but for the most part, we can work through those.
And speaking of the one-to-one relationship, PIC and VMS, both equally important, but both sometimes a little challenging to get to marry up, and they will actually probably never necessarily be in sync or marry up. So this brings me to the next generation VMS, and it's been great that they've been able to talk to you and, as our resident guru, all things DIS for DHAP. NGVMS, as we've mentioned previously, and we had Kevin Sheriff from Deloitte on the broadcast with us, is the next generation VMS system. And it's something that we're pretty excited about. We have just completed our as-is phase, which is 3.5 months worth of talking to PHAs, field offices, hubs, headquarters, multifamily, CPD, NARO, CLAFA, FADA, and all of our partners out there. We've been talking to a large sampling of this universe, and thank you, Teresa, for setting up a lot of these meetings and what have you, and thank you, PHAs, for contacting Teresa when you are interested in participating. The as-is phase has now come to an end, and what's been great about it was that we've been able to, through our contractors, meet with many of our users, high-end users, middle users, and maybe not as frequent users, and get a feel for how you use all of these systems. Now, what's been really important is that with the fact that we have an active DHAP program running, they've been able to see DIS and your usage of DIS and the DIS VMS PIC relationship as it all kind of works together, and they've been able to see it and look at ways to possibly make them speak to each other or work better in the future. They've reached out to several PHAs, and many of them have contacted us. And though the as-is phase has come to an end, and so we're kind of moving forward with the information taking, we are sending out a survey that right now is being finalized and will be going out to a large population of all of our users that I'd mentioned earlier. Should you want to be a part of the survey and you'd like it sent to you, please contact us. Email us at the DHAP-EIV mailbox, and we'll be happy to send it out to you. It's a user survey to see how you use the system, how often, the frequency, the types of information you pull, and it leaves room for comments about different things, because it's through these comments that we get an idea for how ultimately, if we could build a system to house everything together, how they should interact. And I know, Nick, you know a little bit about that, but am I completely off base, or am I kind of in the right area here?
Right ballpark.
I'm definitely not a tech person, so I sometimes make no sense. So thank you for coming on board to talk through these broadcasts with us. But the NGVMS system is something that we're pretty excited about. I was hoping we'd have a call or two, but no call and no email. Well, I have a couple of other bullets before we wrap it up, and hopefully before I finish my 2 bullets, maybe you will call in or write to us. But if not, if you've not been able to, or if you think of a question afterwards, please email us or call us directly. I know we've covered a lot of information. The last 2 things I'd like to talk about are conversion and the impact of the recent budget talks in the CR on the possibility of conversion. Now, as you all know, we have requested this, we've put forward our figures, we've used all the information that you've provided for us through case management, ETO, and through all the information that we have based on HAP payments and the need and the families and the households. And we've been able to show that should we have conversion, we're requesting approximately 5,000 families be assisted in conversion. We have not received word yet, and as you saw through the budget, there have been severe budget cuts throughout all government agencies and departments. And while I don't have it on good authority to say, no, there will not be a conversion, I can tell you it may not necessarily be the same priority in the grand scheme of things that it was originally. We are still pushing for it. We still know that if not for a conversion, these families will have a very difficult time because of the lack of infrastructure within the communities to support them and the needs that they have. We understand everything that you do for them, and we hear from you often, and it's amazing to hear how you support these families and how strongly you feel about their long-term care. And I assure you we will try and keep you as informed as possible, but at the moment we have no indication of any decision or any talks of the conversion coming back up. That's not to say no, but it's just not on anyone's radar at the moment. So take that for what you will, and if you would like to call me, I'll be happy to discuss any questions you have on it. But at the moment, we are in a stand-down position with any further action, as we mentioned on previous broadcasts, with any further conversion action. No inspections, no screening, nothing like that, because we don't have any indication at the moment that we will have a conversion. And my last note is a sad one. As you know, our program is winding down, and we have under 5,000 families that we're working with throughout DHAP-EIV. And as the program continues to wind down, we are downsizing within our program as well. And being good stewards of FEMA's dollars and the taxpayer dollars, we've been asked to make some reevaluations of our program need and program support. That means that Val Brown and Sean Cunningham, who have been amazing people to work with in the field and have done outstanding work and have been an incredible part of this DHAP family, their participation with us has come to an end. We hate to see them go. And we know that there are many PHAs that they had great relationships with, and we thank them for everything that they did out there. But unfortunately, as the program downsizes, so must we. So any questions that you have that would have been directed to Val or Sean, please email them to the DHAP-EIV mailbox, or please send them to Ialba Morrison, Teresa Palladino, or myself, Judith Garza, and we will work with you and try and get you information as quickly as possible. Serving you is definitely our priority, and getting back to you with answers to your questions is definitely our priority and will remain our main priority till the program ends. But it is sad to see the ladies go. They've been with us for a while, and we'll miss them. So Val, Sean, if you're watching, thank you for everything. We will miss you. You will not be forgotten, and you guys were awesome. And with that, we have no calls and no email. I'd like to thank you all again for joining us, and I'd really like to thank Teresa Palladino, Nicholas Hickman, and Nick Bilka for joining us. And thank you. Should you have any email questions or any calls or anything, any questions you'd like to call us about, please do. But thanks for joining us.